Well, hello there, users. My name is Ryan Boyles. Welcome to Weeks In, and as always,
Greetings,
I have.
programs.
Wait, what's happening over there?
Oh, I'm just strutting my stuff over here.
So I
Just getting
heard,
back from
I
my
heard, I
my my,
heard you
my
joined
tournament.
a new Discs of Tron tournament. What is that all about?
I did. I've been doing a little bit of disking
Yeah,
with Team ENCOM.
that's cool.
That's our sponsor. You got to go
Well,
into the grid to play, but like I don't mind.
so is that like a Matrix thing? What team are you playing for?
I fight for the users.
Oh, okay, got it,
This was
got it.
much
Yeah,
better in rehearsal. We should be
I know,
better at
right?
this.
Okay, redo everybody. We're gonna come back,
Okay, all right,
reset.
ready?
Just kidding.
Right?
Just
Oh, okay.
no,
We're not really
no,
gonna do
no.
it.
The moment has passed. Our
The moment has
dorkiness.
passed. What are we talking
Um,
about today, brother? On Week's End. Happy
All right, we're talking about a lot of stuff.
Friday.
We're talking about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about Spider-Man: No Way Home. We're
Ooh,
going to talk
yeah.
about what if. We're going to talk about what if TIE fighters could
Yep.
travel faster than light.
Yep.
I think you're pitching some ideas about how to bring HAL9000 into this
I am.
decade. We're going to talk about Cowboy Bebop IRL.
Yes.
We're also going to talk
Yeah.
about some music legacy with some folks we lost this week. Um, Before we even get into that, I know you're talking about Tron, which is old school awesomeness. Check
It
out what I
is.
found in my parents' house.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
E.T.,
E.T.
the extraterrestrial card game. It is fun for ages 4 to 10. You can play from 2 to 4 players. It's a deck of 24 cards, and yeah,
I'll deal one
it's
more
a lot of fun because
card.
you can
That was a
phone
really
home.
bad.
You can do a lot here. It's really, this is bringing back my childhood. I don't know about
Hey,
you,
your
but
green screen setting is
I know,
on, but
right?
your green screen is not on, so the cards are coming
Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah.
transparent, and
You're
your
right.
Yoda faces are transparent. It's very creepy,
Oh, yeah, it is creepy. Okay, I'll fix
but I
that in
like it.
post.
I like that.
Um, all right, folks, let's talk about our first subject, which is
Let's get into
20
it.
years of memes. We're getting old. The internet's getting old. And apparently, Homestar Runner
So
and the
weird.
Strong Bed email, the flash sensation from back in the day, is 20 years old this week.
20
So
years, dude. Like,
that's insane, dude.
I just want to crawl into a rock and die at this point. I mean, that's just crazy. I
I
can't
mean, the
believe.
kids of today with their memes and stuff, they come fast and furious. They're here for a day and they're gone.
But
Homestar Runner Strong Bad was a whole thing, man.
yes, see, that's such an important point that you make there, Ryan, that nowadays these things come and go so quickly. Um, and it wasn't like that. This, like, you did not have 10 memes a day. You did not have 10 trending things a day. You
Dun,
you
dun,
you had
dun.
like one, and it
Right.
and it lasted for
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, yeah. Right. I mean, even like think about the meme series behind like All Your Base Art Belong to Us. Like
Yeah.
so many iterations. So that phenomenon of Bernie's mittens is kind of how it was back then when you think about it that way.
Wait, when you say Bernie's mittens, are you talking about? You remember that I know the person that created that, right?
Oh yeah, we know this. We know this. I know you.
We've been there. We've
You
been there. You know, I'm kind of a
you're
big deal, right?
I know you're well connected, and your
Okay.
room
I just want to
smells
make
of
sure that you remember rich
your room
mahogany
smells of
and,
rich mahogany. Yes.
and many
All right.
leather-bound books.
Let's talk about Spider-Man: No Way Home. Let's get right into the meaty subject of the day. And
Okay.
for me, I a lot of people get really excited, and there was like talk of like, should we go to the theater to see this on the big screen? What's your take on that right now? I don't know.
You know, there are certain movies that I want to go to the big screen to see them on, and it's not even the. It really boils down to just the big screen. It doesn't even boil down to like the theater experience, and I miss the popcorn and like it's not that. I've never really been particularly comfortable in movie theaters. I mean, I get fidgety. The seats are not the greatest. I mean, I'm tall and kind of big, and I don't know. So for me, it really is about the literally the screen and the sound. So we
Yes.
have an awesome theater near us called O'Neill Cinemas, and I love it because the chairs are comfortable and they recline. The screens are absolutely mammoth. The audio is outstanding. So there are certain films. Ghostbusters Afterlife is one that I'll go. Dune is one.
Yeah.
Spider Lord, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Spider Man is like I like these films, but I don't know if they are. I need to go to the theater to
Yeah. Yeah.
see them.
Right.
And I
Well,
don't know, dude. I'm
I
very
would
picky
say,
about
I
that.
mean, there was a Twitter space debate, or not debate. There was like people trying to talk about the reveals of this trailer, the day of it premiering. There was also a version of it that leaked the day before.
Yeah.
A lot of debate over, was that Sony trying to hype it, viral
Yeah.
campaign, or just another security mishap, which Sony is honestly known for at this point,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
things of that
Oh yeah.
nature. There's also set photos, like some interesting parts of the trailer are that it's just like what DC is doing with Flash. Doc Ock is obviously showing back up in this film. The original, like the Doc Ock from Tobey
Green
Maguire's
Goblin.
Green Goblin. There was talk of
Oh,
like,
somebody said
is the
Electro.
lightning bolt going to
Yeah.
bring back Electro? Is
Yeah.
that the Sandman? Is there
Yeah.
all those OG villains from the Tobey Maguire series? Which I'm going to say something. I don't know if it's controversial or not. Tobey Maguire series, I don't need another Spider-Man. That one was good for me. And so part of me, I like Tom Holland in the Avengers setting. I think he's charming.
Yes.
I don't need I don't feel like I need more Spider-Man films. I mean, don't throw
So
things
then,
at me, but it's like,
that's how I feel. So like, I don't
yeah,
know if I need to go to the theater to see this. I'm not saying I won't watch it. I'll watch it.
totally watch it.
Like, is it a theater one for me, which is very rare right now because you got to wear the mask,
Right.
you got to, yeah,
I
blah, blah, blah.
think that's the great
So
question.
I don't know,
Yeah.
dude.
It's the great question of our time, is like, similar to the way we have talked about, like, is it a game that's going to sell a new console? That's the metaphor I'm using here.
There you go.
Is this gonna sell me to go back to the theater?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence, and I did not go to the theater to see Black Widow, by the way.
No, I did not,
So,
and I had no intention, and there was no need to.
right.
So I mean, the other thing is like, I really enjoy watching movies from home, and I don't mind paying to do it, mind you. I don't mind paying the 20, 30 bucks to watch a movie, because like if I go with the family or whatever, like it's already going to be that or more anyway. So like I don't really mind paying additional. I mean, it's nice when they come out on a platform that I already have, HBO Max or whatever. But right now there are a few films. That is not one of them, but there are some films. I'm also excited. Talking about, you were saying the trailer leaked and all that, is I was on the treadmill this morning because working out and trying to lose some weight, as I do. And I was reading that they surprised fans at Comic-Con with, was it Comic-Con? I forget. But they surprised fans with the Matrix 4 trailer, which people said is absolutely incredible. And they described the trailer in one of the articles. I immediately stopped reading because I don't want to see that. And so the buzz about Matrix is similar to the buzz about Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is they did it right. So like, it's not stupid. So I'm excited to see that. So
Totally.
I don't want to read about that. I just want to watch it.
So I'll just let you know, like, I
don't know when we're going to see
like,
that.
Matrix is like holy grail for me. Like when Matrix came out, and then the sequels, I was all into the fan forums, and I was making my own fan art, and I was really into Matrix.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, I kind of want to know about it. I don't want to be spoiled. Like, I've already watched too much. There's a YouTube channel that is awesome called Matrix Explained. They're putting out a video every day where they're getting super deep into all of the Zen and the psychology, and some of that's interesting, but now they're getting into almost like spoiler territory with the plot, and I don't want that.
Yeah. There were parts of the second and third movie that I found were really eye-rolling, groan-worthy, ridiculous crap. But most of it, mind you, was outstanding. So I'm really excited to see this movie. And the one thing that I did read, it's not really a spoiler, but to me, and I literally stopped reading after I read the first few sentences, and it really made me go, ooh, where are they going with this? Was the fact that the trailer opens up with Neo in therapy. And I was like, holy shit, where are they going with that? Right. So, I'm very curious. I'm very curious. So now the Matrix 4, that's a movie theater movie for me.
Well, and it looks like I'm not going to say more because I know more, but it looks like he and Trinity are in the Matrix. So, like in normal life, and so that raises a lot of questions, right? Because they
raises a lot of questions.
They took the red pill, and they're trying to save Zion in the real world in the original trilogy. So
I'm really excited to see that, and I am excited about Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like the movie. I just don't know if that qualifies as what was the last movie you saw in the theaters? For me, it was 1917. What was the last one you saw? Do you remember?
Well, I
haven't
have
been to a movie
seen.
theater in a long time, dude.
I've seen a couple of movies during the pandemic. I saw the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back but at the drive-in, not at a theater.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And
That's right.
and then I've been to one other movie, and honestly, last one I remember is 1917. I can't.
I think it was the last one I think we both, that was the
I
last thing
can't.
we both saw.
I can't remember another movie. I have not been to a premiere.
Well,
in the
dude,
12
like 2
months.
weeks later, we were supposed to fly to Florida.
Right.
So like that, it makes sense that that's the last movie. Anyway,
Yep.
I'm excited about Spider-Man, and I thought the trailer looked great. I'm all for these movies where they bring back this whole multiverse, bringing back old character stuff. I mean, dude, I love that stuff. It's like it's like Lower Decks, like Star Trek, where they bring back all the old characters, and they totally play into your nostalgia. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I love that, and that's what I heard about Ghostbusters Afterlife, which they did a full screening of at that Comic-Con or whatever the hell it was. They surprised people with a full screening.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody said it's like it's exactly the amount of nostalgia, and it's the Ghostbusters you really want. It's a really good sequel to the first movie, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. Speaking of things I'm excited about, I don't know if you saw these photos or not. I'm not even going to put them up. I want people to go check it out after the show. But there's a new series coming on Netflix. I want to say in November. But Cowboy Bebop, which is, if you haven't seen the anime, you need to stop what you're doing, go stream it, buy it. It's awesome. And there's going to be a live action series on Netflix, and John Cho is going to be, one of the lead characters, and he looks phenomenal.
Awesome.
I think it's Entertainment Weekly that just published some new set photos, and it is like, when you talk about like translation from anime to the screen, they've done it right.
Yeah, and remember, we've seen some they've done it wrongs, right?
Yes.
Like when they did Ghost in the Shell. I mean,
almost
Jesus,
everything.
Just a train wreck. Almost everything.
But here's the thing though. Like, I'm a Ghost in the Shell like super nerd. That film looked good if you're looking at it still frames. The film itself did not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
that's a really
question
good point.
is, will they catch the vibe of Cowboy Bebop? Because it's a quirky show.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to see that.
If you haven't seen those pictures, folks, go see that.
John Cho, you definitely need to.
Awesome.
I mean, the biggest debate is going to be probably about Faye Valentine. She looks. I don't know.
Yeah, there was some issue with her costume.
Well, and people nerd out about costumes, but let's be real. Like, her costume in the anime is questionable. Like, to put it politely.
Oh, Ghost in the Shell. Yeah.
What If? Are you watching What If?
I watched the first episode. I did like it. I thought Captain Carter was really cool. I liked the action of it. I loved the fact that they kind of maintained the love story between Carter and Agent Carter and Steve Rogers, even though she was the one that transformed, just to go, because it goes to show, like, it was never about the fact that he became this, big, hot super soldier guy, right? It was never about that. America's ass, or whatever they, jokingly say in the series. It was never about that. It was really about the content of his character kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I thought that was really cool. I also thought it was cool how
they also gave him an interesting mechanism of being able to like team up with her. That was an interesting twist.
That was a super cool twist, and I didn't see that coming. The second episode, it felt forced to me. Now, I'm going to
say something bold. I almost turned it off midway through.
I fell asleep.
I was just like, is this
legitimately? I
agree with you. It felt like I saw what they're trying to do, but it's just like, you can't follow up the emotional impact of both Guardians 2 and T'Challa. Like, even the second film, all the family dynamics and all the stuff that like hits you in the feels about those Marvel movies. You can't translate that into 30 minutes. I'm sorry. And I just think it fell flat for me.
You can't. And I love hearing all the characters' voices. I love the artwork. There are lots about it. Like, I'll keep watching it.
Yeah. The art is
because it's so beautiful. The art is outstanding. But like, I don't know. But it's
Well, and
funny because
here's the
like I'm
thing.
having a similar issue with Lower Decks, which is like I
Uh-huh.
love Star Trek and I love Lower Decks. I just watched the 3rd episode last night. But for some reason, like it's not hitting me as hard as the first season did. The first season was I couldn't stop watching it. And it was funny because a buddy of mine was telling me for a year or however long it was that that show was created, I was like, whatever, I don't really want to watch it. He was like, no, you don't understand. It's some of the best Trek I've ever seen. I'm like, what? And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I wasn't 5 minutes into the first episode where I totally got it and was
So
riveted by it.
do
And
you
this new
think
episode, this new season is just kind of like,
do you think the formula just here's an observation.
no, I think they're
Series,
trying too hard.
well, there's that. And I also think that just the streaming model of TV seasons is shorter seasons. They're experimenting with bigger swings, but sometimes
Yeah.
those bigger swings they don't have enough runway to expand on multiple seasons. It's like a concept that works really good as either a mini series or a film, but it's not a full blown series that's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And I think a lot of streaming shows suffer from that, like 2 seasons and you're done mentality.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one that, and we've talked about this many times, so you're going to feel this coming. And literally minutes before we went on the air, I found out that it had been renewed for its 5th season, and the 4th season hasn't even come out yet, which is Cobra Kai. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
dude, they could keep that going for as long as they want. And the thing that's been good about that, and I know there are people who watch that show and are just like, it's very groan worthy because but it's weird because like that's another show where they've got the nostalgia, like they
Yeah.
never take themselves too seriously. There's parts of it that are funny. There are parts of it. I mean, the final scene in the 3rd series or 3rd season, the final scene, 3rd season, like, dude, I mean, it wrecked me. It was so good. It was like everything every
Well, it's
Karate Kid
storytelling.
fans ever.
So
It's
I think
good
the difference
storytelling.
is it's you can't
So they
replace
have the storytelling and the nostalgia
the
down right now.
storytelling and
What if?
and it's further character development that the films couldn't give you, right? Like
That's right. That's
that's a good
right.
formula.
And that's a good formula. And right now, some of these other shows just feel like they're just trying to smash stuff in, and they don't have the storytelling down.
Okay, so this may be a discussion for another day, but one of the other shows that my wife went down the rabbit hole on was Outer Banks. I'm going to save that. I don't know if you've been watching that, but
No, I'll have to check it
we'll
out.
save it. We'll save it for another show.
I know you love the
Um,
Outer.
let's talk about you have some you have some big bet ideas about how we could bring HAL 9000 into the current
Yeah.
sort of storytelling model of streaming world. What do you got?
So 2001 is one of those movies, films, if you will. You may remember on one of our shows I talked about this. My good friend there, Travis, sent to me. 2001 is one of those films that like I make a point of watching it once a year. First of all, I love Kubrick's work, but second of all, this film in particular is awesome. And if you work for the organization you and I work for, it's even better because of their participation in it. There's a lot of it. And in one of my viewings recently, I realized that I had never figured out like, well, why does Hal go crazy?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's never explained. Is it just a computer error? But like, why does he become murderous?
It's not a malfunction. I think it's a big,
no.
It's like,
no. So, well, I did the research and found out that they explain it in 2010, which was both a book and a movie. And so it is explained that he was given what's called a programming contradiction, which is you have to run the mission, own the mission, keep everybody safe, but you also have to keep this thing quiet and secret. And if anybody finds out, then and so Hal like couldn't handle that and essentially went crazy because he was sort of going against his own program. So it was really fascinating. I also learned in 2010 they turned Hal back on, which I never knew. I've never seen it, but they turned Hal back on, and he essentially apologizes and rights his wrong by sacrificing himself.
You haven't watched the film 2010?
I have not.
Oh my gosh.
Because I couldn't get past the fact that it's like watching Jaws 2. I just won't do it. Jaws is such a big deal to me that any sequel just can't possibly live up to it. Now, I am going to watch 2010 now that what I've learned. So
we need to make it a thing. Okay.
Oh, okay. So we're going to make that a thing because there are sequels I need to see. But my idea here was then I was reading a whole bunch about HAL9000 this week and the origin and how he's originally Athena computer and all this stuff. And I read about the contradictory programming, and one of the ideas I had would be really cool to have a fake, to have a not a fake, to have a show about the construction, like a fake retro tech documentary about the development, operation, and programming of HAL. Like actually show the logic memory systems labs in Urbana. Actually, show HAL being developed, and do it as like a documentary. And in the end, what I was thinking is you could do there's a couple of things. You could show the programming contradiction take place, like with Hayward Floyd coming in, kind of thing. You could have some fun with that, or you could do a plot twist.
Yeah.
Where it turns out that the whole plot of 2001 is just a simulation to test HAL. Yes. And none of that ever actually happened. It's just a simulation.
And so, then what if there's a crossover? Yes, I would love that. And then I would like there to be a crossover with Matrix 5, where we all realize that we're in the same multiverse world as Neo, and when we're actually we're living in a simulation. Which, by the way, we didn't plan this, but I want to also give a shout out for. I watch a lot of documentaries. Anyway, this is a fantastic idea, but there's a documentary out there that explores, similar to like the flat Earth, flat earthers. There's a whole segment of the population that thinks we are in a simulation, and there's a whole documentary.
Oh, I know. Well, but think about how cool this would be, right? We're talking about 1992.
Yep.
So you'd have some really cool retro tech, like early not early, but pre-peak Silicon Valley stuff, kind of look and feel to it. You'd have this kind of top secret lab in Illinois. I mean, Illinois, like, so there's all kinds of really cool stuff you could do there. And so instead of 2001, a Space Odyssey, my idea was 1992, a technical adventure. But I also love the idea of production number 3, which I never knew that was HAL's number, production unit number 3. But Wesley Miller, one of the guys that I connect with on Twitter a lot, his idea was to call it Daisy, and I thought that was really clever. Daisy, Daisy. I thought that was very clever.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Wesley Miller at
Shout out to Wesley Miller, man.
Follow at Get Wired on Twitter.
Wesley's the best. Wesley's really, really cool stuff. So anyway, that was one of my ideas, and because I love coming up with show ideas and then doing absolutely nothing with it ever, just tweeting it out and like forgetting and realizing that my place in the universe is
if you could monetize that, I think you'd be
I can't monetize anything. I barely have monetized myself. So
okay. Well, if there's somebody out there listening that wants to monetize Graeme, he's open to offers.
Come on, that's a good idea. I've got a lot of them. Let's do something. Go on.
Work with me here. All right. We got one more subject. We got two more subjects.
Two more.
Let's talk about faster than light travel, something we know very little about. TIE Fighter. So this, what this reminds me of? I'm going to let you explain it, but it reminds me of the Clone Wars, which everybody likes to dunk on the original or the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. But I think this has some legs. Tell us what we're watching.
I think this has some legs too. So first of all, I love fan-created content. I think it's just the best, especially when it's seamless like this. I also know you, sir, may actually be a fan of the Star Wars.
A little bit. Did we lose Graeme?
Can you hear me?
I can now. Let's restart. Okay.
That was weird.
I'm a fan of the Star Wars. We can go from there.
And I love fan-made content. So I just thought that this was one that was particularly cool. The TIE Fighter is a short-range fighter, and they show it here. And I think that was an A-Wing, if they had these little hyperdrive rings. What it reminds me of is the warp sled that we see in Star Trek The Motion Picture, where there's a shuttlecraft that Spock comes in on, and it's got this little warp attachment. So anyway, I love this kind of fan-made content stuff. Thought this was really cool. So go ahead, folks, give this guy a click.
Look at that sexy TIE Fighter. Whoa. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So we talk about music a little bit on the show, not a lot, but we lost two heavyweights.
We did
this week. I mean, I don't even know what to say. They like Tom T. Hall. If you don't know, uh, he was nicknamed the Storyteller, right? Born in 1936. He is a country music, singer songwriter. That if you 12 number one hits, 26 on the top 10, big deal. Over the years, and he's inspired a lot of folks. And he's listed, I mean, Rolling Stone top 100 greatest songwriters, ever. One of the crossover hits that we were just, my wife and I, amazingly, we went on a little road trip a couple weekends ago, and we were talking about it. Harper Valley PTA, like that's one of his biggest hits. So we got to hear a couple of cover songs.
It's a great song, by the way.
That the Avett Brothers performed down in Wilmington last weekend.
Who?
That's the reason we weren't having a show last Friday, by the way, is because I was in Wilmington watching a concert where they covered a couple of his songs. So
I didn't know you listened to that.
Yeah, from time to time. But yeah, just Road to Memphis, awesome song. Go watch it on YouTube. Go look it up. The Avets did it last Saturday night. But Charlie Watts, tell me about Charlie Watts. What does Charlie Watts mean to you, Graeme?
Charlie Watts, man, the Rolling Stones just evokes so many memories for me in so many good ways. First of all, I love their music. Love it. I always thought Charlie Watts was really cool. Now, if you don't know who Charlie Watts is, Charlie Watts was the drummer for the Rolling Stones and has been since 1962, I think. But the thing I always liked about Charlie is he was always totally chill and level and cool and not flashy and not, I mean, you've got Mick and Keith, right, who are just like bonkers. But Charlie was always, now I don't know if Charlie was hard partying. I don't know a lot about his backstory or road behavior, but I know he was a real gentleman. I know, he was obviously an extremely talented musician. There he is. There's our boy. But, the Rolling Stones music, like a lot of it, I also think about some of the early days, like when I was, in college, I used to run this big paint crew and work on it. And we painted rooms all over Bridgewater State College, which is now Bridgewater State University. And one of the guys that painted with us, this guy Greg, was like obsessed with the Rolling Stones. And at that point, like I knew them, I knew their major hits, but I didn't know all of their music. I also didn't know how the huge range of music that they have.
Yeah.
And we would be we'd be painting 8-10 hours a day in these dorm rooms or God knows what. I mean, we painted everything. And Greg schooled us on the Rolling Stones. He would bring in different albums and so I sort of think of like younger days when we were all working at the college and partying and having fun. But I also think about the fact that songs that come up now, like my kids love the Rolling Stones and, like their music endures, man. Their music lives on. So you've got people like Tom T. Hall and Charlie Watts. Yes, it is sad that we lost them. And Charlie, I didn't even know he was sick. And certainly at 80 years old, a man who was still going strong. I was surprised when I heard
they were
that.
They were touring.
Touring.
So I know somebody that was set to see them in the area here next week. I mean, yeah. So that's the sad part of it.
It is sad. But the good news is, decades and decades and decades from now, people will still be listening to, remembering, talking about, and consuming all things the Rolling Stones. Charlie Watts will be remembered as a rock and a foundation, not just the beat of the group, but really a heart. And just forever cool, man. Forever cool. Both of them.
Forever cool. Well, in the end, like
just like you, man.
The drummer is the leader of the band. I mean, usually, right? Like, so I think Charlie was that for the Stones.
But it's always like, if you watch footage of them, it's always so funny because he's just back there, like just doing his thing. It almost looks like he's like barely tolerating Mick, who's just so crazy. But but that's not at all what it was. I mean,
but there's stories about I mean, they have both. I mean, every member of the band, of course, has put out their stories, but there's just some of the remembrances of like them getting in a fight and stuff, like, and how he conducted himself.
Yep.
I mean, just awesome guy, right? So,
let's end on a positive this way. So first of all, I agree. Hats off. Second of all, do yourself a favor. Like, if you haven't listened to the Rolling Stones in a way in which you can really pay attention to Charlie's work, go do that. If you
Yes.
haven't listened to Tom T. Hall, you haven't listened to some of that music, like go do that. You don't have to be a fan. You don't have to be, now I want to put this on my iPod or whatever.
Right.
Just go listen. And like that is the best way we can pay tribute to a musician, not just a tweet or a mention on a show like this that has tens of watchers, but go listen to their music and share it with somebody, right? That's the way to do it. Well, but you're laughing at me, but you know I'm right.
Yeah, you're totally right. Share it with your family. I mean, there's lots of good memories of that, of like you said, like your friend, you know, you remember concerts, like it's such a communal experience. And so you really, memories are, like they talk about the psychology of like memories are tied to music and smells and things like that. And like music is just, it's so important in everybody's life.
Love it.
All right, Graham.
Thank
you for the show. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm Ryan. This is Graham. This is Weeks In. We'll see you next Friday, where, hint, is the day before my birthday. We'll see.
Oh my God.
Woo! All right, y'all. Talk to you soon.
See ya.